June 10th, 1944, Saipan. Japanese intelligence officers huddle around a radio, intercepting American communications. For 3 years, they've been breaking American codes, learning troop movements, anticipating attacks. But now, they hear something different. A language, but not English. Not any language they recognize. Wolachi Tenga Mosi. What is that? Chinese, some Pacific Island dialect. The Japanese cryptographers, the best in the world, try everything. Frequency analysis, pattern recognition. Captured code books. Nothing. They can't break it. Days pass, weeks, months. The strange language continues, and every American operation succeeds. Landings, attacks, coordinations, all communicated in this unbreakable code. The Japanese are desperate. They try to capture the men speaking it, to interrogate them, to understand. But when they do capture one, he won't talk. Can't be tortured into revealing anything because the code isn't a code at all. It's a language, Navajo, spoken by a Native American tribe from the Southwest United States. A language with no alphabet, no written form, known by fewer than 30 non-Navajos in the entire world. And 400 Navajo Marines are using it to win the Pacific War. This is the story of the Navajo Code Talkers, the men who created an unbreakable code based on their native language, who transmitted every major operation in the Pacific, who never had their code broken, not once, and who came home to a country that still discriminated against them. December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor, Japan attacks. America enters World War II. Immediately there's a problem, communication security. American forces need to communicate. Troop movements, battle plans, coordinates, everything. But radio communications can be intercepted, and the Japanese are masters at breaking codes. In the first months of the war, the Japanese break every American code, read messages in real time, know what's coming before it happens. American lives are lost because the Japanese know the plans. The military tries everything. More complex codes, encryption machines, code books that change daily. The Japanese break them all, sometimes in hours. The Marines need something different, something unbreakable, something the Japanese can never crack. April 1942, a Marine named Philip Johnston has an idea. ACRAZY idea. Use Navajo, the Native American language, as a military code. Johnston grew up on a Navajo reservation, son of missionaries. He speaks fluent Navajo, one of maybe 30 non-Navajos who do. He realizes Navajo is perfect for a code. It's complex, tonal, has no written form. No foreigners speak it. The Japanese have nitrogen monoxide way to learn it. He pitches it to Marine brass. They're skeptical, but desperate. Fine, prove it works. May 1942, the Marines recruit 29 young Navajo men. The first 29, ages 15 to 18, most lied about their age to enlist. These young men come from the Navajo Nation, Arizona, New Mexico, the reservation. Many were forced into government boarding schools, where speaking Navajo was forbidden. They were beaten for speaking their own language. Speak English only. Navajo is savage. Forget your culture. Now, the Marines want them to speak Navajo. Suddenly, their savage language is valuable. The irony isn't lost on them. Boot camp. The first 29 go through regular Marine boot camp. It's brutal, like it is for everyone. But they face extra challenges. Racism, slurs. Other recruits don't want them there. Indians don't belong in the Marines. Go back to your reservation, but they push through. They're Marines. They've got something to prove. Creating the code. After boot camp, the first 29 are sent to Camp Pendleton. Given a mission, create a code based on Navajo. It must be fast, accurate, unbreakable. You have 1 month. Here's how. Step 1. Military terms don't exist in Navajo. Navajo is an ancient language, spoken by shepherds and farmers. There's no word for tank, no word for bomber, no word for grenade. So they create them. Using metaphors, tank equals tortoise, chedagahi. Bomber equals buzzard, J-show. Submarine equals iron fish, Beshlo. Grenade equals potato, Naimasi. Hundreds of terms. All invented, all memorized. Step 2. Spelling out names for proper names, places, people, ships. They can't use direct translation. So they create an alphabet. Each letter is represented by a Navajo word. A equals ant, Wolachi. B equals bear, Shush. C equals cat, Mosi, and so on. To spell Saipan, they say the Navajo words for Say-APN. Fast. Accurate. Step 3. Make it fast. The code must be transmitted faster than English. Otherwise, what's the point? They practice over and over until they can encode and decode in seconds. English message gives Navajo code, gives transmitted, gives decoded, gives English in under 30 seconds. Compared to machines that take minutes or hours, it's lightning fast. August 1942, the first 29 demonstrate the code for marine brass. The generals are stunned. This works. This actually works. Orders are given. Recruit more. Train more. Deploy them everywhere. The code works. But can the code talkers work? In actual combat? Under fire. When lives depend on it? There's only one way to find out. Send them to war. August 1942. The first 29 are split up. Sent to different marine divisions. Guadalcanal, Bougainville, the Solomon Islands. The first combat test of the Navajo code. And immediately there's a problem. Other Marines don't trust them. Indians? Talking gibberish on radios? This is stupid. We need real communications. Some officers refuse to use them. Insist on English or standard codes. But one officer, Major General Clayton Vogel, believes. He orders his units to use code talkers for everything. Guadalcanal First Combat, November 1942. The Battle of Guadalcanal. 6 months of brutal jungle fighting. Code talkers are embedded with frontline units, transmitting coordinates, calling in artillery, coordinating attacks. The Navajo transmissions are constant. 800 messages. 0 errors. The Japanese? They're confused. They can't decipher any of it. Japanese intelligence reports. Americans using unknown language. Possibly Native American. Unable to translate. More importantly, every operation succeeds because the Japanese don't know what's coming. Ambushes fail. Counterattacks are anticipated. American forces coordinate perfectly, all because of the code talkers. The danger. But code talkers face a unique danger. Japanese soldiers who see them think they're Japanese. Navajos are Asian descent. Dark hair. Similar features to Japanese. In the chaos of jungle combat, American soldiers sometimes mistake code talkers for the enemy. Almost shoot them. Solution. Each code talker is assigned a bodyguard, a fellow Marine, whose job is protect the code talker in combat, make sure other Americans don't shoot him. If captured by Japanese, kill the code talker before he can be tortured. That's how valuable they are. The code cannot be compromised. Ever. Tarawa, under fire. November 1943. Battle of Tarawa. One of the bloodiest battles in Marine history. Code talker Corporal Henry Bake Jr. and Private First Class George Kirk are on the beach, under intense fire. Their radio is the only working link between the beach and offshore commanders. For 48 hours straight, they transmit messages, calling in naval fire, coordinating reinforcements. Under fire the entire time. Bake is wounded, shrapnel in his arm. He keeps transmitting. Kirk's radio is hit by bullets. He switches to a backup. Keeps going. Officers later say, without those 2 code talkers, we would have lost Tarawa. They saved the operation, Iwo Jima. February 1945. 6 code talkers are part of the Iwo Jima invasion. You saw this battle in my previous video. During the first 48 hours, the deadliest phase, they transmit over 800 messages, flawlessly. Major Howard Connor, signal officer, says after the battle, were it not for the Navajos, the Marines would never have taken Iwo Jima. That's how critical they were. By 1945, the Code Talkers are legendary. Every Marine commander wants them. The skepticism is gone. They've proven themselves in the bloodiest battles of the Pacific. But there's a problem, a big problem. The more famous they become, the more the Japanese want to capture one, to break the code. The Japanese realize they can't break the code through cryptography, so they try something else. Capture a code talker, torture the code out of him. It almost happens, multiple times. And the consequences would be catastrophic. The Japanese are obsessed with capturing a code talker. Orders go out to all units. Capture the radio operators speaking the unknown language, high priority. Do not kill. Capture alive. The code talkers become targets, high-value targets. The Bougainville Incident, December 1943. Bougainville. Code talker private. Joe Kiyomiya is separated from his unit during fighting. Lost in the jungle, behind Japanese lines. He's captured. The Japanese recognize he's Navajo. They're ecstatic. Finally. We can break the code. They interrogate him, then torture him, trying to get him to explain the code. But here's the problem. Kiyomiya is Navajo, but he's not a code talker. He speaks Navajo, but he doesn't know the code, the military terms, the alphabet system. He tries to explain this. The Japanese don't believe him. Torture intensifies. For days, they torture him, trying to extract information he doesn't have. He's eventually sent to a POW camp. Survives the war. Barely, but the Japanese never get the code from him because he doesn't know it. The bodyguard dilemma. Remember, code talkers have bodyguards, with orders to kill them if capture is imminent. Imagine being that bodyguard, your buddy, your fellow Marine. You're ordered to kill him if the Japanese are about to capture him. Could you do it? Shoot your friend in the head? To protect a code? Several bodyguards later say, that was the worst assignment. I prayed every day I wouldn't have to do it. Thankfully, they never did. No code talker was ever captured with the code knowledge intact. The kamikaze threat. The Japanese start kamikaze attacks, suicide planes crashing into ships. Code talkers on ships become targets. If a kamikaze hits the radio room, the code talkers die. But they keep transmitting, even as planes scream toward the ship, even as anti-aircraft fire fills the sky. One code talker on a ship that's hit keeps transmitting while the ship is sinking. He's pulled out of the radio room, soaking wet, still holding his mic, still trying to transmit. His officer, what are you doing? Code talker, my job, sir. Through the entire war, no code talker with code knowledge is successfully captured and interrogated. A few are captured, but they don't break, don't reveal anything. The code remains secure, unbroken. August 1945, the war ends. The code talkers come home. Heroes, right? Not exactly. They come home to an America that still sees them as Indians, second-class citizens. And they can't even talk about what they did, because the code is still classified. September 1945, the code talkers return home. To the Navajo Nation, to their families. They expect parades, recognition, honor. They get nothing. The classification. The military classifies the Navajo code. Top secret. Not to be discussed. Ever? Why? Because they might use it again. Korea, Vietnam, future wars. The code talkers are ordered. Never speak about what you did. To anyone. Not your family. Not your friends. Ever. They sign papers, oaths of secrecy, so they come home. And they can't tell anyone what they did. Their families. What did you do in the war? Code talkers. I was a radio operator. It was fine. That's all they can say. The discrimination. But even without being able to tell their story, they expect respect. They're veterans, Marines. They served. Instead, racism, discrimination, same as before the war. In the Southwest, signs still say, no Indians, no dogs, no Indians. Bars won't serve them. Restaurants won't seat them. Employers won't hire them. One code talker tries to buy a house with money he saved from the war. The seller says, sorry, We don't sell to Indians. He's a Marine, a war hero, and he can't buy a house. Another tries to vote. In Arizona, he's told, Indians can't vote. Not allowed. Native Americans didn't get voting rights in all states until 1948, 3 years after the war ended. The code talkers endure this, silently, because they can't even explain what they did to defend this country. The PTSD. Many code talkers have PTSD, nightmares, trauma from combat. But they can't get help, can't talk about it, because doing so would require explaining their role, which is classified. So they suffer, silently, alone. Some turn to alcohol, depression, broken marriages. One code talker's wife later said he would wake up screaming in Navajo, yelling coordinates. I didn't understand. He wouldn't explain. Just said it was a nightmare, the silence. For 23 years, the code talkers stay silent. 1,968. 23 years. They can't tell their story, can't be honored, can't even acknowledge what they did. Their children don't know. Their grandchildren don't know. Grandpa was in the war, did something with radios. That's all we know. The Navajo code is finally declassified. The war in Vietnam is winding down. The code won't be used again. The code talkers can finally tell their story. But by then, 23 years have passed. Many are dead. Many are old. Many have moved on. The revelation comes out, slowly, a few newspaper articles, some historical interest. But it's not until the 1980s, 90s that people really start paying attention. Books, documentaries, recognition. But for many code talkers, it's too late. They lived their whole lives unable to share their greatest achievement. Even after declassification, recognition comes slowly. The code talkers are old, dying, and America is taking its time honoring them. Why? 1980s, 1990s. Historians and journalists start telling the code talker story. Books, articles, TV documentaries. Americans are shocked. Wait, Native Americans created an unbreakable code? Why didn't we know this? The code talkers start getting invited to events, to speak, to share their stories. Finally, after 40 years, recognition. But it's still not official. No medals. No congressional honors. No national recognition. The push for recognition. Activists. Native American groups. Veterans organizations. They start lobbying Congress. The code talkers deserve recognition. Official recognition. Medals. Now. Congress drags its feet. Years pass. 1,982. The code talkers are designated a National Historic Landmark. But no medals. 1,992. A code talker exhibit opens at the Pentagon. But still no medals. The code talkers are getting OLD. Many are in their 70s, 80s. Dying. If you're going to honor us, do it now while we're alive. July 26, 2001. President George W. Bush signs a bill awarding congressional gold medals to the code talkers. The gold medal, one of the highest civilian honors, given to the first 29, the ones who created the code. The other 400 code talkers get silver medals. The ceremony is held in the Capitol. Code talkers attend, dozens of them, old men, in their traditional dress. Some in wheelchairs. Bush says, in war, using their native language, they relayed secret messages that turned the course of battle. Today, we give these great patriots long overdue recognition. The code talkers cry. Some can't speak, overcome with emotion. One code talker, Chester Nez, one of the first 29, says, this is the proud day of my life. My language that they tried to take from us saved America. They finally recognized that. But of the first 29, only 5 are still alive to receive their medals in person. Of the 400 total code talkers, fewer than 100 are alive in 2001. The rest? Dead, without ever receiving official recognition. The code talkers finally get their due. Official recognition, medals, honor. But for many, it came too late. Decades too late. Still, better late than never. The code talkers are honored. But what's the real legacy? What did they teach us? And why does their story matter now? 2001 to 2024. One by one, the code talkers pass away. Chester Nez, the last of the first 29, dies in 2014. Age 93. Full military honors. Samuel Sandoval dies in 2022. Age 98. Thomas H. Begay dies in 2023. Age 97. As of 2024, there are fewer than 10 code talkers still alive. All in their late 90s. The youngest would be 98 years old. Soon, there will be none. The last will pass. And with them, the first-hand memory of the code. The funerals. When a code talker dies, the funeral is massive. Marines attend. Native American ceremonies, full honors. The Navajo Nation sends representatives. The president sends condolences. The code talker is buried with his medals, his uniform, his legacy. And at each funeral, the same thought. We're losing them. These heroes, these men who saved countless lives. The language, but there's another tragedy. The Navajo language itself is endangered. Younger Navajos often don't speak it fluently. English dominates. Assimilation continues. The language that was too savage for government schools, that became the Unbreakable code, that saved American lives, is dying. There are efforts to preserve it. Language programs, schools, apps, but it's a race against time. The code talker's story is now told, widely, in schools, museums, monuments, the National Code Talkers Museum in Arizona, the Navajo Nation Code Talkers Museum, films, Wind Talkers, 2002, documentaries, books, young people learn about them, native and non-native alike. The code talkers have become symbols of courage, of using culture as strength, of Native American contributions to America. So what is the legacy? What do the code talkers teach us? The Navajo code talkers represent something profound, multiple things, actually. Lesson 1. Diversity is strength. For decades, America treated Native Americans as problems, to be assimilated, to have their culture erased. Then a war came, and suddenly, Navajo culture, specifically the Navajo language, became America's greatest asset. The thing they tried to destroy saved them. Imagine if America had succeeded in erasing Navajo, enforcing total assimilation. There would be no Navajo speakers, no code, potentially thousands more American deaths. Diversity isn't weakness, it's strength. The code talkers proved that. Lesson 2. Patriotism despite injustice. The code talkers served a country that discriminated against them. They couldn't vote, couldn't buy houses in some areas, were called slurs, treated as second class. But they served anyway, risked their lives for America. Why? Some say it was to prove themselves, to show they were American, to earn respect. One code talker said, "We loved our country, even when our country didn't love us back. We hoped our service would change that." Did it? Eventually, but it took decades. Lesson 3. The power of language. The Navajo language was almost lost. Government schools tried to erase it, punished children for speaking it. But that language saved America, its complexity, its uniqueness. Made it perfect for an unbreakable code. Languages aren't just communication. They're culture, history, ways of thinking. When you lose a language, you lose all of that, forever. The code talkers showed, preserve your language, your culture. You never know when it might be critical. Lesson 4. Recognition matters. The code talkers waited 56 years for official recognition. 1945 to 2001, over half a century. Many died without it, without ever being honored for their service. That's wrong. When people do heroic things, recognize them. Don't wait until they're dead. Honor heroes while they're alive, so they know their sacrifice mattered. The code talkers' legacy isn't one thing. It's many. Military. They proved unbreakable codes are possible, using language as cipher. Cultural. They showed Native American culture has value, isn't something to erase. Patriotic. They exemplified service despite injustice, hoping for a better future. Human. They were humble, never sought glory, just did their duty. That's the code talkers. Complex, heroic, underappreciated for too long. But now, finally, their story is told, their legacy secure. Today, at Window Rock, Arizona, capital of the Navajo Nation, there's a monument, bronze statues, two code talkers, in Marine uniforms with their radio, forever vigilant. Around them, plaques with names, all 400 code talkers. Listed by name, honored. Every year, ceremonies are held. Veterans attend. Native Americans come from across the country to remember, to honor. The Navajo Nation code talkers are part of American legend now, taught in schools, remembered in history, but more importantly, they're part of Navajo legend. Heroes to their own people. Young Navajos grow up hearing about them, learning from them, being inspired by them. Our language, our culture, saved America. Be proud of who you are. That's the ultimate legacy. Pride in culture, in language, in identity. The code talkers were told their language was worthless, savage, something to forget. They proved it was priceless, a treasure, something that saved lives. 400 young Navajo men, Marines, using their language to transmit thousands of messages, to coordinate battles, to save lives, never broken, never compromised, never defeated. The Unbreakable Code, not because of machines, not because of mathematics, because of people, their language, their culture, their courage. This was the Navajo code talkers, the men who spoke in code and won the war on war-bound secrets. And some codes are unbreakable because they're built on something computers can't crack. If you ever visit the Navajo Nation, stop at Window Rock, see the monument, stand there, and think about what those men did. They took a language the government tried to erase and used it to save America. They served a country that discriminated against them, hoping service would earn respect. They kept silent for 23 years, unable to tell their families, their communities, what they'd done. And when recognition finally came, many were already gone. But their legacy lives in every young Native American who learns their language, who takes pride in their culture, in every American who learns about them and realizes diversity is strength, in every veteran who looks at their story and thinks that's what service looks like. The code talkers didn't fight for glory. They fought because it was right. They didn't seek recognition. They sought to protect their brothers in arms. They didn't want fame. They just wanted America to respect them as equals. It took too long. But eventually, America did. Honor them, remember them, learn from them.